Hello everyone, so the time has come. As promised, I'm going to do an update on how the mower has been. So a little first thing about the mower, I've had this mower for 180 hours, which that's what the hour meter says, but I've honestly put more hours on that because I installed the hour meter maybe 10 hours later, so it's probably got close to, I'd say maybe close to 200 hours. And I've had this mower for 4 years. So I can tell you a lot about this mower. I've put 190 hours on it, so I know its flaws and I know what's good on it. One disclaimer I have to make about this mower is, let's just say I've used this mower a lot more than what it was probably intended for. But that's okay because, hey, not everyone can afford a, $8,000 mower off the gates. I think I paid $3,200 for this mower 4 years ago. And at that time, it was very affordable, and I was doing an entry into lawn mowing. All right, let's get into the most fun part, which is the cons. Okay, so this is probably the biggest con right here. I don't know if you can tell, but that transmission is lopsided. And basically what has happened is the brackets have broken, and that wheel is sitting crooked, and I've been having a transmission belt problem. So let me crawl up under this mower and let you see what's happening. Alright, so as you can tell, right here, this is a part that holds the transmission in place. Well, as you can tell, it has completely snapped off. And we'll go over to the other one and show you that this one's still intact. But obviously over here, that one has completely broken off. So that is probably the most main reason why it is crooked. Also, as you can tell, it has snapped right here. And the one back there is completely fine. So really, I'm having the biggest problem with this left transmission. So basically, the number one thing that has stopped me from mowing with this mower is really due to this transmission. Let me pan up here. It being crooked, and what basically holds these, what gives these transmissions power, this one and this one, is there's a belt that connects to that fan, and then it connects to the other fan, which is on these two transmissions. And basically, what was happening is, let me get up here. So basically what was happening was that transmission belt kept popping off when I was going up a hill. And I knew something was out of alignment. I knew right away something was out of alignment. So I kept putting it back on and putting it back on until eventually it broke on a job. And I realized, hey, there's something more to this issue. So basically now I've had to order all new brackets to be able to raise that transmission back up and put that belt back on, and hopefully the transmission belt will not break anymore. So we'll just have to see. I'll definitely show a video on how to put that transmission belt in, because let me tell you, it can be a pain. Another thing I'm going to talk about that is a con to this zero turn would have to be this deck. Ever since I got this thing home, I think it only took like 20 hours, and I realized like the deck was just unbolting apart. Right here is a weak point. Those bolts just kept completely coming off. I always had the most issue with this side. So basically what happens here is if you turn this component right here, there's something that catches right there. It catches, oh, sorry for the camera issues. It catches right there, and it allows it to raise up. And basically my bolt kept coming unloose, and it would just dangle and not hold up the deck. So basically it's like a deck adjustment. And so I just got tired of it, and I just welded it back together. So, and let me tell you, the deck has not come unloose. I actually tried to put this bolt here to keep it from moving, but then I realized it was moving that way. So I just welded the whole thing back together. Another really weird flaw about this mower would have to be this pulley. Let me pan up here. I don't know if you can tell, but that pulley is completely crooked. And it has always been like that. I think I had it 20 hours in and I noticed that pulley was crooked. And really, it's about touching the deck. So sometimes it does grind. And what I think I'm going to do to fix that is I'm just going to take the deck off and weld a piece of metal to keep that bolt nice and straight. So I've seen on other people's videos that that's a common thing, that pulley being crooked. Another bad thing about this mower would pretty much be the chute. The chute's pretty cheap, as you can tell. That's basically cracked apart from the blades touching it, and the reason why it's done that is because that part of the deck has completely broken off. So that's honestly a really weak point. That should have had more reinforcement, but that's not too big of a deal. All right, so as you can tell, basically the two biggest problems I've had on this mower was the transmission and the deck. But yes, all of this can be fixed, and I am planning on fixing it. Now, with all those negatives aside, you might wonder what is actually good on this mower. All right, well, what's actually good on this mower is this Kawasaki. This Kawasaki engine has never let me down. I have never had an issue with this Kawasaki. I've had this mower for 4 years, never had to replace a battery, never had any engine issues. Now, of course, I do my daily maintenance. I check my engine oil. I do 50-hour oil changes. I do 100-hour air filter services. I change the spark plugs every 100 hours. So I do take really good care of that engine. But I think it's pretty awesome that the engine has held up the way it has, and I'm very surprised I've never had an issue with the engine. It's just always been outside components. Also, one thing to know about this Kawasaki FR691V, this is actually just a residential mower. This is their residential grade. So this is not a commercial engine, so don't really expect to be getting like 2,000 hours out of it like the pros do. So I'm going to prove to you that this mower is really good. So we're going to crank this engine up, and I'm going to show you after, 180 hours that it still does fine. All right. I'd also like to mention what is really cool is I've added a light bar here. So if you turn that on, there you go, you got a light bar. So I thought that was a really cool feature to add. All right, so my final words about this whole zero turn. Obviously, you can tell it has a lot of flaws. But again, let's take the perspective of it being only $3,200. It was a very cheap mower, and it is still able to be fixed. And yes, I'm going to fix it. I'll actually upload a video of me fixing this mower to where it works good again. I just want everyone to know this was an entry-level zero turn for me. So I basically did not know anything about zero turns, never been on one. This was the first zero turn I've ever ridden, and so basically this was the zero turn that I learned everything on. I learned how to maintain my engine. I learned how to adjust your deck height. So my final thoughts, do I think this zero turn is a good purchase? I would say absolutely. For someone who's a beginner, who's just cutting a little bit of grass, absolutely. If you don't know anything about zero turns, this is the perfect zero turn to get started on, to learn on. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, there's really not much you can mess up on. I mean, this is just the prime example of learning on a good mower. I do plan on getting a lot more hours out of this. Obviously it only has 180 hours on it. By the way, I did have to install that hour meter. It didn't come with it. But I still plan on getting a lot of hours out of this. This mower is not out of commission, but I do think it is time for me to buy a new zero turn, and I hope everyone stays tuned for that next video. What zero turn did I buy? You'll have to wait and see.